Welcome to CaRe T1D, the cardiovascular repository for type 1 diabetes. CaRe T1D collects tissues from relevant donor groups, processes these tissues for biobanking, and distributes the samples to approved investigators who seek to determine the mechanisms by which type 1 and type 2 diabetes promote cardiovascular disease development. One of our goals is to foster collaboration amongst these investigators with the goal of identifying therapies to treat and ultimately prevent the cardiovascular complications associated with diabetes. We foster this collaboration by means of the CaRe T1D Cardiovascular Repository Research Storefront, a web-based application that provides investigators with information about the cases and the availability of specimens for further research. In this video, we will provide an overview of the storefront so that you can see what the repository holds for you as a researcher with an interest in the cardiovascular effects of type 1 and type 2 diabetes. We start here with the Mission tab that I point to right here, which describes the purpose of CaRe T1D and lists the key personnel associated with the project. Next, here is some information about how we work, including our scientific advisory and executive committee members, as well as the cores associated with the biorepository. And finally, a public service announcement about organ donation. A key feature of the storefront is the presentation of donor case data, which is the function of the Explore Cohort Data tab that you see here, or the button that you see down here. The general public can see a demonstration case, which is populated with synthetic data designed to be faithful to the type of data and distributions you would see once you have obtained an IRB approved protocol to use CaRe T1D data. You can adjust the view into these cases by setting filters. As you can see on the left-hand side of the window, this feature queries the database, returning cases that meet the constraints of the filter you create. As you can see, there are myriad combinations of filter specifications that can be created with this tool. You can see on the right-hand side of the window a series of graphical displays of selected statistics based on the filter that was applied. This could help you to understand the depth and the breadth of the repository. Clicking on individual cases brings up a template filled with basic demographic data and the diagnosis of those cases. So to see more about this case, you would click on the See Details button, which will allow you to investigate the case more deeply. Again, these data are synthetic, but created to make the output as realistic as possible. The details of the case are presented in a series of 4 windows accessed by these tabs. The first tab that you see here provides a summary of the case, lab results, and the results of the high-resolution HLA. The second tab provides information about the donor's hospital admission, clinical history, medications, and toxicology at the time of donation, a brief hospital laboratory panel, and an evaluation of the donor during hospitalization. On the third tab, you will see information about how the donor organ was processed, the RNA quality of the organ, a 3D motion-based reconstruction of a micro-CT of the heart, and a carousel of images from the micro-CT scan. And finally, the histopathology tab takes you to a report on tissue from the heart and/or kidney. In addition, you can request access to the slide archive, where you can view the slides online using the Apereo digital pathology platform. From the For Investigators tab, we see several pages that provide information to those who plan to use or who are currently using the repository. On the Apply to Join, investigators can access the Notice of Funding Opportunity that supports research using the repository. There are also comprehensive organ-specific standard operating procedures to help you understand how the donor organs were processed. Next, you can find information about access to the secured online pathology site at the University of Florida. In order to use this system, you will need to set up a separate account as noted in these instructions. Finally, You will be able to see via the samples in stock table a real-time inventory of the samples that are available for ordering for your IRB approved study. In addition, there is more detail about the sources of individual specimens provided here on this page. And then finally, on the last tab, investigators who have been approved for full access to all of the donor and organ data in the repository will be required to log on with their email address and password. We hope that you have enjoyed this tour of the CaRe T1D biorepository storefront and will find it useful in your work on the cardiovascular effects of type 1 diabetes. Thank you for your attention.